Hey fam, what's up? My name is Gabby. Welcome back. So today I want to talk to y'all about transitioning from a girl to a woman. There are so many things that go in this process of becoming a woman that would have been really nice to know, that I really want to share with y'all today. Just some insight that I've gathered. I've changed so much over the past definitely 10 years, but I would say for sure the most transitional has been like in the past 2 years, and I want to talk a little bit more about that. I also want to add that I don't live my life with regret. So when I say something I wish I knew, it's more so in the mindset of like what would have been nice to know. Also, if y'all have anything that y'all want to share or y'all want to add, like I know there's a lot of wisdom out there, please drop that in the comments for us so that y'all can get me on with some tea and everybody else, so that we can kind of create this real good nurturing vibe for all of us to continue to grow and gain that wisdom. Okay, so I want to go ahead and start with the first one, in that I wish I knew that having a spiritual life was so important, and especially a relationship with God. It's really hard to be a woman out here, especially this day and age with everything that's going on in womanhood. Like, women are fighting against each other, like men are fighting against us, and there are people transitioning to become women who are fighting against the biologically born women. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just so much, and I think we're in a time where we really need that spiritual root with the Lord, and giving my life to the Lord, building a relationship with Jesus, like a real relationship, and pouring more into my spiritual life has been a huge catalyst in me becoming the woman I am today and am continuing to be. So having a spiritual life is literally everything. The Lord literally has been my rock, for real. I also wish I would have known that there was a period where I would still feel like a girl even when I was already a woman. There's a period of time where you feel younger in your mind than you are in real life, and I felt conflicted for so many years because I would look at myself and see this big grown woman, but in my mind I still felt like a teenager. And that caused a lot of issues, like for me internally and spiritually, especially when I was talking to other people and just going about life trying to get business done. You know, sometimes you really need to get business done, and then throw children in the mix. It really was a lot for me to grow through mentally, because I hadn't realized for the longest time that I was still seeing myself as a child. So knowing that alone would have cut out a lot of confusion and shame and whatnot that I was feeling, knowing that it's just a part of the process. And in the embodiment of womanhood, it would have been so good to know that being a woman is more than how you look. To me, a woman was having woman body parts, and I guess functioning like a woman and doing things that women do biologically, like how we look and how we present ourselves to the world. And now I know it's just so much more than that. Like, being a woman is a mindset. It's the way that you move, it's the way that you speak, the decisions you make. It's about how we are inside and not just on the outside. And when I was young, I believe most of what I thought was just the outside appearance of how we looked and how we carried ourselves. Being a woman is so, like, it's who we are. You know, there's things about us, there's ways that we think, the ways that we create, the ways that we are created. It's just everything about us just goes so much more beyond what the eye can see. The way that we are portrayed in the media, you grow up seeing certain type of movies, you see certain videos and stuff like that, and then the way you get treated, a lot of times we are objectified. So it's a little easy for a young girl to grow up seeing herself as some sort of object or something that needs to be presented to the world in a certain type of way, not even really realizing that. And how I present myself to the world, that's only like a small piece of it. And knowing that has helped me develop so much into becoming the woman I am today. A woman through and through, not just a woman in somebody else's eyes, not just a woman that I see in the mirror. And that ties into my next point, that growing up doesn't just happen. Like, I think most of us at some point we think in a futuristic way and we see a certain life or a certain vision for ourselves. I would say up until like very recent years, like a couple of years ago, when I thought of myself as a woman in the future, I would see myself operating and looking a certain way, and I just thought that at some point in life I would just become that. When that phase or period of life came up, I would just be that. And as time kept going by, I was just like, just kept feeling so behind. Like, what in the world? Why am I not that? Like, why am I not anywhere close? And I had to realize that you don't just grow up. Like, you don't just glow up. You have to put in the work, the time, form the routines and the habits and all of that in between to become that person, to become that woman. It's like I thought I was just gonna wake up one day and I was gonna be in this phase where I was doing these certain things or portraying myself a certain way or speaking my certain way, when I really had to work to develop all of that to get to that point. When you grow up a certain way, a lot of those things stick with you, and you have to do a lot of unlearning, a lot of rebuilding and new learning to become something that you've never been before, or shoot, sometimes that you may have never even seen. And many times that can be a challenge, which is the next thing, and that I wish I knew that it was okay to change my mind. I can change my mind. If I say I like something today and I don't like it tomorrow, like I can say I don't like it tomorrow. Like if I was feeling this product, or I like this food, or I was interested in this guy and that changed, I can change my mind. When we're young, I think we start to develop this culture that you say what you say, you said what you said, and that's it. If you change your mind, or if you go back on it, you're fake, you can't be trusted, and things like that. You know, the whole atmosphere of school, especially middle school and high school, the he say, she say, people really hold you to what you say. Your words can get twisted and all that type of stuff. And then when you get older and you get into the workplace, the same thing applies. But at the end of the day, we all have our own opinion, and we can change our mind at any moment. And there's been times where I felt conflicted, because I'm like, I've always said this, people have always seen me with this or with that, and it would just cause me to feel like I was in a box. And I had to realize, like, girl, you putting yourself in a box yourself. We change, we evolve, like we're humans. That's what we're supposed to do. And I can change my mind and live my life and be happy with it, because at the end of the day, it's my life. So who am I really bugging that much if I decide to change my mind? I'm staying true to myself. And understanding that biologically we are built different from men has been very pivotal in my growth. Even if you're that type of woman who does not wear your emotions on your sleeve, who is not so easy to be opened up to people, you still are an emotional being. Like, you're more likely to feel some type of way about something than a man would if it was the same type of situation. That's just how we are. And so many times we try to hide who we really are, or we are overly emotional. And I say overly emotional in a way that is what I believe is just, we just don't have any control or management over our emotions. Whether you're that type of woman who stays closed up, or you're that type of woman who's emotionally open always to everybody, I do believe it's because emotions have always been put on women. Like, oh, you know, they cry all the time, they nag all the time. Like, that was just us. Starting from when we were girls and we were growing up, a lot of times, like, especially considering the times that our parents were brought up, emotions were only acceptable for girls, and even still it was only emotional to a certain extent. Like, so many times our emotions were a burden, and we hadn't realized this, or some of us still haven't. And then we grow up and then our emotions are all over the place, when in our reality God created us this way, and we are meant to be more in tune with our spirit. We are meant to be more in tune with our emotions for good reason. Men are very logical, and they move a lot of times based off the facts and what they see. Not saying that women don't have the ability to tap into that logical, because we really do. I think that's why so many women are so great at so many different things that they do, because we can tap into both sides. But realizing that being a little more emotional than men, or shoot, maybe even a lot more emotional, is okay, it's so freeing. It helps you embrace the fact that you are a woman. Like, you are a woman. That's something to be thankful about. That's something to be proud of. And just knowing that being more emotional is a part of your being can help you really flourish into the woman that you were designed to be. Also tying into that is not being ashamed of my period. I grew up in a house with brothers, in a house with a stepdad, and my mama taught me many hygiene tips, like, you know, making sure you check the toilet and wipe it down, all this stuff that I'm so grateful for. But it was when I got older and certain things started changing where things really started getting dicey for me. For example, after you have kids, most women didn't have a period for like 8 or 9 months. So when it comes back strong, and it comes back different. And there's been periods in my life where I felt like I just couldn't keep up. I'm like having to figure out what tampons do I need to use now, what size, like what weight, what kind of pads. I'm like, something dripped on the floor and I didn't see it, I didn't catch it because I went to the bathroom in the middle of the night, or like I wake up in the morning and I'm like, oh, now I gotta change the sheets. And I used to just feel so bad because I felt like I couldn't keep up with myself, I couldn't keep up with my body. And I really was trying to make it to where it was not evident that I was on my period at all. When I put this discard in the trash, it would be in a way that you couldn't even tell like there was anything in the trash. I was trying to hide that whole part of me. I would just be embarrassed like when I slept up, and I'd be like, dang girl, you grown, like how do you not have a hold on all of this yet? Girl, babies or not, you know how this goes. And then one day it just dawned on me like, you're a woman and you have a period. Like that's just that. I never even used to really call my period a period. I would always name it a cycle or my menstrual cycle. Like I never used the word period because I just for a long time felt like the word period was just gross, you know what I'm saying? Even me saying it now, as many times as I'm saying it, it's still me pushing my own barriers because this is not something that I'm used to doing or the way I'm used to saying it. But really embracing that as a part of womanhood and knowing that it's okay. And our bodies are constantly changing. Like that's another thing, our bodies are constantly changing, and it's okay for us to not know exactly how or which way to go about something at certain times, because we are constantly growing and we have to continue to learn about ourselves as women, learn about our bodies as women. We have so many things going on, hormones. Our uterus holds so many hormones. Like it does so much more than just house a baby. It really helps our bodies function the way we need them to function. It's just stuff like that that really just goes into the journey of womanhood. Like from becoming a girl, we really have to learn about ourselves and about our bodies and not be ashamed of how we were created. This is who we are, this is how we were designed. And even if you do struggle a little bit with trying to get certain things patched down or concrete, it's okay because we're always changing. Our body is ever evolving. I mean, your period may or may not come on 1 month because you're severely stressed. That's how in tune all the parts of our bodies are. It takes a little more time, I think, for a woman to learn her body than a man because there's so many different things going on. And also in the realm of our bodies, it was so important to me transitioning into womanhood to understand that it's best for me to do self-care and for me to do self-maintenance that works for me. I would see a lot of videos on YouTube, you know, when I was trying to learn about self-care and stuff like that, and how to take care of your body as a woman, to shave weekly. Like that don't work for me. I have sensitive skin and have caused dark marks on my skin from me shaving. I kept trying to make myself shave, knowing that I don't like to shave and that it doesn't suit me, when the whole time I should have just been using hair removal like Nair. So that's what I do now. That's what works for me. Like if I do shave, it's just mostly my upper body, but anything else I have to use different other type of tactics to remove the hair. So self-care and self-maintenance and sometimes even self-love is different for every woman, and that's something that would have been so good for me to know so much sooner, because I would have been able to treat my skin and my hair and my nails so much better if I wasn't just so focused on what the majority or what it seemed like the majority was doing. And next, you don't have to wear heels to be feminine. I've never been the type of girl that wear heels. Like I grew up a tomboy, which is why this whole experience and journey means so much to me, because the type of woman I am right now, the things that I do right now, I never saw as a girl. And I really always thought you had to wear heels. I avoided them for a good while. I didn't really start wearing them till college. Like I was trying to get into the whole club thing, so I was buying heels that I couldn't walk in. Calves used to be toe up. Over time, like over the years, I would just keep trying to wear them. I'm at this place now where I do like to wear heels, but only certain kinds. Like I can only do the chunky. Girl, I done had me some stilettos. All this stuff that I know I cannot do, and it's not for me, because I just thought that's what a woman is supposed to do. You see when women going on about their day have on heels, but the fact is some women been doing this, are just really good at it. Some women love wearing heels. Like even on the TV show, these women are wearing heels all the time. It just looks like you have to wear heels as a woman if you want to grasp your womanhood and be a part of that. I do like the look of heels, and I do feel like there are certain outfits that look better with heels, but there's a certain type of heel that works for every woman. And two, you have to consider your feet. I have wide flat feet, so a lot of heels just don't work for me. I can walk better in heels now, but they hurt my feet so bad. So that comes with that self-care and knowing yourself and knowing your body. But before I got to heels and I was wearing flats all the time, I still like to wear the pointy-toed flats because those kind of resembled heels from the front, and they were a lot more sophisticated looking in my opinion. But again, because of my wide feet, like it would really hurt my feet and hurt my arches. So just really disconnecting from the fact that you have to wear heels. And if you do want to, there's so many different kinds where you can actually truly find what works for you. Now when it comes to relationships, what I realized is that friendships are just important in womanhood as they are in girlhood. As you get older, there's different type of support you need and conversations that you need to have. Like when we're young, we mostly be talking about boys, we talk about money. A lot of time it's just chitter chatter, but it's still good to have friends that you can trust, especially at that time in your life. A lot of people might fire back on me about this because I know we're in this part of life where people don't have friends and they're happy with not having friends, especially females, because we all know that other females can be kind of messy. Hurt people, and some people really don't know how to be friends. But it's so important because as you age, you're going to be going through things in your life, in your relationships, in your body, like in your career, in your spiritual realm, where having some other women around who understand sort of at least what you mean, or even head on what you mean, is going to mean so much. Women, when we are healed, okay, and we are spiritually aligned, we know how to pour into somebody. You hear me? We know how to pour love. We know how to give support. We know how to be a backbone when we are needed. So it's so good to have friends in your corner when you're older too, because they really have a specific role, which kind of leads into my next thing of what I wish I knew about womanhood in terms of friendship, that you're going to have different type of friends, and it's okay not to have that all around friend. When you're young, you have a best friend or you have multiple best friends. You know, you have that go-to friend that you can go to about any and everything. When you're older, you realize how different we are, how our walks of life are so various. You know, we come from a lot has happened to us by the time we're 30 and beyond, and we have so much to give and so much that we have to heal from. So for me and my friend group, every single one of my friends is different. I have friends for certain things, and for a while that felt wrong because I felt like I was supposed to be able to tell each friend everything, all the same things. But that's not necessarily the case, because our friends have different roles, and I might share one thing with another friend, but it would be delivered in a different way because this is a different person. They communicate different ways, they think different ways, like we're different people. It's okay not to have that all around best friend, let alone having multiple of them. And it's okay to realize that you and your friends are different, and that they may fall short in one area but they always come through in another area. Friendships just mean a lot more when you're older, and they just hit different. It's not like always having somebody to answer every text and answer every call, though like that may be nice. But when you're older, there's some things that you really do have to process and go through in yourself. But it's nice to know that, man, when I need a friend, I got a friend. And extending from that, oh my gosh, I wish I knew that as a woman, you do not have to tell your friends or your family every single detail about every single thing. It's a no. Like, there are some things that you have to preserve for yourself, to yourself, and in your relationship with God or whatever it may be. When you're young, when you're a little girl, you give all the tea. You tell everything. There are friends that tell each other everything about their body. They tell their friends everything about their booze body, like, if you know what I'm saying. Like, we will just tell everything. We give all the tea when we're girls, and we tend to do that same thing when we get older. And I had hit so many roadblocks in conversations with my friends because the conversations would go like so left, like things would get very judgmental, or I'm sharing super vulnerable things that it would just go over my friend's head, and now like I'm feeling stupid, like I should have never said nothing. Like, I really had to fall on my face a few times to really get this through my thick little head. I also had to trip over that a bit too on social media, as far as on YouTube and all of the stuff that I'm sharing. Girls tell any and everything. A woman shares and is vulnerable, but she knows how to hit the sweet spot that works for her and the people that she's sharing with. She knows that she's not supposed to give every single little detail of everything in her life, because it's not necessary, and it gets to a point where you're ripping away from yourself or you're tearing out of yourself when that's something that was supposed to just be for you, or between you and someone else, or between you and God. Like, just period. Just period. What's also is so important to know, that would have helped me tremendously transitioning from a girl to a woman, is understanding that women and men, boys and girls, are literally just built different. Like, from the fiber of our beings, we were created differently. Like, we are not the same. We are not the same. We think differently, we operate differently, we feel differently, we process things so differently. There are some things that I am going to struggle more with than a man, or with a man, or that he's going to struggle with, because we don't always understand each other. It's just like, we just don't hit the mark sometimes as men and women. That's when it really comes into learning how to communicate, and understanding and learning ourselves as women and learning them as men, to try to have the most respectable and giving relationships with each other that we can. So many times we bump heads with men because they just don't get it, but sometimes they really don't get it. Their minds work differently. We might be speaking on something from an emotional standpoint, where a man is just like, well, this is what it looked like black and white on paper, so what you talking about? Understanding that men just are not us. They just don't always move like us or think like us would have saved me so much trauma, first of all, because I wouldn't have spent so much time racking my brain trying to understand why a man is, or really a boy is or isn't doing a certain thing. And this so smoothly leads into the next one. It's just that good cat is not the end all be all of getting or keeping a man around, period. Like, that might be enough to string along a little boy who's there to get what he wants, but eventually that little boy is gonna go on to new ventures. The way things are set up in the media and movies, even all of the music that's out there right now, is really a setup to think that if you have a nice body, if you have good cat, that's enough to draw these men in and to make them stay. Like, we so much more than that. And if that's all you have to offer, like, there's a bajillion other unanas out there, and he can go pick one of them. Knowing that your value does not come from your cat is such a big deal as a woman. There's so many other women with good cat. You know what I'm saying? Like, that shouldn't be what you're standing on. There's so many women with these nice bodies. There's so many women out there, like, getting in the gym, getting their body right, eating right, getting cut up. And there's women out there, like, literally getting cut up. Like, no judgment, but there is so much out there for men to go after. Thinking that your body is one of the major things you need to draw a man in and keep him in is a lie that we've been sold from day one. And the men know that too. They just don't want us to know that. And this moves into my last point, which is that we are so much more than our bodies have to offer. I am not a service provider, and some people out there see us only as that. Many of us see ourselves only as that. Girls care a lot about what these boys want, how we can serve them and all that, how we can get their attention. That's little girl activity. Grown woman activity is know that you are who you are. You're a human being. You're a person. You have love to give. You have support to give. You have honor and respect to give, but not just to anybody. Not to anybody halfway in and halfway out. Not to use to warp somebody in and then try to keep them in. And you know, it's like a fish that's fighting on the line. You just keep throwing yourself and throwing yourself, trying to reel that fish, throwing yourself, trying to reel that fish. No, that's little girl activity. We are grown women and we don't have to do that. Because a real woman, like, don't you just feel that in your soul? Just say it, a real woman. I'm a real woman. Like, you're a real woman, and a real woman doesn't have to play those games. And that's something I had to do in this process of transitioning from a girl to a woman. I really had to affirm to myself, literally looking myself in the mirror sometimes and be like, I'm a woman. I'm a grown woman. Sometimes it takes planting that seed and then watering it every day by saying it to yourself. You gotta understand that you're not a little girl anymore. You are a grown woman. That's a blessing. That's a blessing. And you gotta water your garden every day to let yourself know that that's who you are and that's who you're gonna continue to be. I hope y'all enjoyed this video. If y'all have anything else to add, please put that tea down in the comments for us, okay? Because I want to see it, we want to see it, we want to know so we can continue to grow. But yeah, that's it for today, y'all. Until the next video, I love y'all so much. Until the next one, peace and love.